Regardless of your beliefs, we can all likely agree that the fact that we are alive and aware of our existence is truly profound. The chance of our species existing is ridiculously rare, but somehow we are all here. Whether we were created by a god or happened accidental-like on a breeze, humans are truly an important and rare species. Though some things in life are even rarer, with many considering certain situations to be once-in-a-lifetime occurrences. Twins being born two different races, or a tree falling on a car and not damaging it are just a couple occurrences that truly make us question reality. Today, we will be looking at 10 things that can only happen once in your lifetime. But before we get started, be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell. Otherwise, your phone battery will die in the middle of an important video tonight. Number 10. Many of the most marvelous once-in-a-lifetime opportunities can be linked to astrological occurrences. For example, Comet West. Comet West is a comet that was named after Richard West, the astronomer who first discovered the comet. Richard was blown away by his discovery after he found out that the comet reached a magnitude of about -3, meaning that it appeared to be several times brighter than the planet Jupiter as seen from others. In other words, this was a ridiculously bright comet. This is very impressive, but it's not the reason we're covering this comet. The reason Comet West made it onto this list is because it is truly a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. Truth be told, this comet orbits Earth much less than once in a lifetime because it only makes its way around the Sun once every 250,000 years. The first and only viewing of this comet took place in 1976, but most people had no idea the event had even taken place. The comet wasn't covered well in news media and was all but forgotten by the general public. This is largely because another comet, Comet Kahutek, had been hyped for weeks leading up to its appearance from the Earth. Though most people were disappointed by this comet, so the media lost interest in the topic. When Comet West passed by a short time later, no one cared. It's not uncommon for a comet to pass overhead to be considered a once-in-a-lifetime moment. We have all likely heard of Halley's Comet, which passes by the Sun once every 76 years. While it's possible to see Halley's Comet twice in a lifetime, it's rather rare. Though, for any of us who were not alive in 1976 and missed Comet West, we will never see it again. What a letdown. Number 9. The Carrington event is a relatively unknown event that took place back in September of 1859. A massive geomagnetic storm struck the Earth at 11:23 p.m. on September 1st and caused solar flares that could be seen all across the world, with some reports indicating that they could be seen as far as South Jamaica. The storm caused huge auroras to be seen all around the world, even in the dead of the night. The auroras were so intense and bright that they lit up the Earth as if it were daylight outside. Some writers suggested that the auroras could light the world enough to read a newspaper at night. The Carrington event was named after Richard Carrington, the man who discovered the first explained and strange occurrence. While the auroras that were caused by this event were truly beautiful, the geomagnetic storm caused massive amounts of damage. Back then, telegraphs were a common form of communication. Telegraph wires had been spread all across the world to relay various types of information. But most of these lines caught fire as a result of the massive amounts of electricity that were being spread across the Earth. This caused damage to many buildings and ruined many complex communication systems. If this type of event were to happen today, experts suggest that it could cause $2 trillion in damages. Computer systems would be permanently destroyed. Wiring in homes would be cooked. Power lines would likely ignite and burn down any buildings attached to them. And most modern cars would be rendered inoperable. These days, certain types of solar flares are fairly common, but none have reached the magnitude of the Carrington event. Number 8. In 1967, countless teams of scientists and researchers banded together to find a treatment and cure for smallpox. The disease had been sweeping across the world for decades and was responsible for infecting an estimated 10 million people each year. The disease would often leave its victims with lifelong health complications, including disfigurements, birth defects, and blindness. It took researchers over 10 years to come up with a cure for the disease, but they did it. By 1978, they had successfully cured smallpox, and by 1979, the disease was considered to be a threat of the past. To this day, smallpox is the only disease to be destroyed. with 0 cases being reported after treatment. Before this disease was cured, it had been claiming lives for over 3,000 years and could not be controlled. It cost us around $100 million in research and funding to kill the disease, but countries across the globe worked together to rid the earth of this awful infection. Let's just hope that the current illnesses that are being spread won't take as long to eradicate, because for right now, curing a worldwide disease is considered to be a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. Number 7. While we hope that this entry can be removed from this list within the next few decades, we have to mention that the Voyager 2 spacecraft is the only spacecraft to have successfully made its way to Uranus and Neptune. The craft was able to reveal tons of information about the planets and came within just 50,000 miles of Uranus. The craft documented how Uranus's atmosphere is up to 85% hydrogen and 15% helium. There are estimated to be boiling oceans on the planet about 500 miles below the clouds, and its magnetic field is roughly aligned with its equator. When it flew by Neptune, it also revealed many surprises, such as how Neptune has a great dark spot and several geysers on its moon. This is the only spacecraft to have ever revealed such a massive amount of information about outer space. Number 6. Have you ever thought about attacking an enemy ship while on horseback? Well, that is exactly what took place in 1795 during the French Revolutionary War. This war was fought in such incredibly cold conditions that at least 14 ships were frozen still in the ocean. Unable to escape and flee to safety, the men aboard the ships were ambushed by soldiers on horseback who ran across the waters and began to attack. The plan to capture and overthrow the fleet was designed and carried out by a 23-year-old, which makes the story even more remarkable. Number 5. Most of the land on Earth has been explored at some point in human history. However, what we have never done is explored every square foot of our oceans. There are known to be at least 30 trenches buried under miles of ocean water, and many of them have never been fully explored. One trench, known as the New Hebrides Trench, remained a mystery until 2013 when an unnamed craft was sent to explore it. It brought back tons of useful information, but moments like this don't happen often. Deep sea adventures are obnoxiously expensive, meaning that they rarely ever happen. This expedition was a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence for nearly all of its participants. Number 4. It is estimated that 35 million people have lost their life due to HIV, an incredibly dangerous immunodeficiency disorder that is most often spread through intimate contact. In 2015, 1.1 million people passed away as a result of the disease, and 36 million are believed to be carriers to this day. In all of human history, only one person has ever been cured of the disease: Timothy Brown. He was cured using a rare bone marrow transplant that taught his immune system how to fight off the virus. So far, the procedure was only successful for Timothy and has not been completed on other patients, though doctors are working diligently on a solution that can be applied to patients nationwide. Number 3. Niagara Falls is one of the most frequently visited tourist attractions in the world. Though, did you know that the falls ran dry back in 1969? This was obviously a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence for everyone involved, but the falls were halted to preserve the national park and make it safer and sustainable long-term. At least 89,000 people visited the dry falls in a single weekend. But there has been discussion about drying the falls once more to complete repairs, which may mean that this entry will need to be removed from the list. Though, for the moment, only a handful of people were able to witness the once-in-a-lifetime event of the dry Niagara Falls. Number 2. Each year, the North Atlantic sees about 6 or 7 hurricanes per season. However, the South Atlantic rarely ever sees a hurricane or a tropical storm. Since 1974, only 9 tropical storms have been observed in the area, and hurricanes are even less frequent. The only modern recording of a hurricane in the South Atlantic was back in 2004, when a Category 1 hurricane named Katrina, not to be confused with Hurricane Katrina, made landfall, damaging about 36,000 homes and businesses. The storm was expected to be incredibly deadly, but only 3 people fell victim to the storm. While this is still a tragedy, it seems as though the South Atlantic areas avoided a major catastrophe. Number 1. This entry may seem like a dream to some, but it took place back in 1914. The Horseshoe Brewery was a large-scale alcohol manufacturer. It was home to a 22-foot fermentation tank that processed ale. On October 17th, one of the metal bands that held the container together burst, sending 32,000 gallons of beer flowing through the nearby areas. 8 people lost their lives as a result, with 9 other people passing away later on from alcohol poisoning. We will most likely never see another beer flood in world history. This was more than a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, as this is such an incredibly rare incident that it will almost certainly never happen ever again. The brewery was taken to court over the wrongful death of several individuals, but the courts deemed the incident an act of God.
All right then. Come on!
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click that like button and notification bell to keep up to date with our videos.